Hi there, everyone. Brent Stafford here from RegulatorWatch.com. I'm just doing a quick little live thing. Most of you that do watch this is probably going to see this after it's been captured live. So I'm not bothering with any chat or any promotion or anything like that. It's just very, very quick. There's something I want to do because we don't do this often enough, and that's thank our viewers on air and say thank you because, of course, you guys make it all happen. YouTube, which has been always perennially for us a frustration. A lot of viewers that do watch us here on YouTube have said, why in the hell are we not getting more YouTube subscribers? Well, the good news is that our coverage has grown in the last year. We've added about 1,500 subscribers. Not a lot in the grand scheme of things, but it is perplexing because our coverage is good. I mean, I think it is. And what was interesting is I reached out to some of our YouTube followers, diehard followers, over the last couple of weeks and asked them to, if they felt comfortable with it, to send a quick note into who is our main supporter. I mean, that's driven all of our vaping content. We've had a lot of great companies and organizations help RegWatch, bring our vaping coverage to the fore, but nobody has done as much as Sean Casey, the president of FlavourArt North America. And as you know, flavors are the most important thing when it comes to vaping. And Sean has just been a diehard supporter of RegWatch. I can't thank him enough. And I wanted to make sure that he was starting to hear from some of our viewers that are always thanking me and the people that come on our show for the coverage that we do. And we got some great response on that request. And I mean, there was only a few requests that I sent out. So it's not like we asked Sean at FlavourArt to be bombarded or anything like that, though you're more than welcome to do that if it's thanks. So I'd like to just call out a thank you to a few people. Now, most of the usernames are not matched here with real names, so I'm going to use real names because those are what I have in the emails, and hopefully that's not going to be a problem for anybody. But I'd like to thank John Kelly, who sent a great email into FlavourArt. Let me see here. He appreciates the fact that FlavourArt doesn't turn a blind eye to the vaping community as some of the other flavor houses do. As someone who both vapes and mixes, he's also a fan of FlavourArt, which is great. And he also enjoys the hard work that we do here over at RegWatch and churning out content that needs to be seen by the larger audience. And that is fantastic. So John, thank you very much for sending that note into FlavourArt. Much appreciated. Thank you. Oh, and I'm doing all this because one of the reasons is that because we did hear back from FlavourArt, the emails that you guys sent went into their support email. So people in the organization saw the thanks, which is great. And Sean got back to me and was very thankful for what the viewers had to say. So thank you. And then quick thanks to Ian Thomas. Ian is a 5-year vapor and a DIYer, makes his own e-liquid, and he uses a good number of flavor concentrates, which is great. And so he wanted to also take an opportunity to thank FlavourArt for helping to make RegWatch coverage possible. What did he say here? I recently learned also that you support Brent Stafford and his invaluable Regulator Watch YouTube channel and would like to commend you for helping to make RegWatch available for the public to be truthfully informed on issues that mainstream media either ignore or misrepresent, especially those related to vaping. So absolutely right bang on. Thank you very much, Ian Thomas. I see here somebody has chatted in. I like and share every video everywhere. Thank you. And that's from Charles Gold. Thank you, Charles. And you'll notice I'm not using my glasses here. I'm going to have to put those on. And Tommy writes in, love your channel. Keep up the great work. Thanks, Tommy. Really appreciate that. Can't do it without the viewers, and we can't do it without our supporters, of course. And then let's see here. The next one that I've got that sent in a thanks is Ed West. Ed is a great guy. Very frank. He'll tell me when my coverage isn't right. I'll tell you that right now. And I really appreciate Ed's help on our show over the last several years with his comments. And thank you, Ed West, for sending in a thanks to FlavourArt. And he wrote, I'm loving your support of RegWatch. I shared some of his interviews with my sister, and she was wowed by the professionalism shown by Brent and his group. We need much more like this to change the image of the vaping industry. And you are so right, Ed. And by the way, for those that don't know, you might have heard some things that I talked about late last spring with regard to some national advertising. My company, Shaky Egg, which is the parent owner of Regulator Watch, which I started in 1996, it's responsible for some of the biggest marketing campaigns ever for some big brands. So I partnered and worked with Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, Star Wars, The Incredibles, Super Bowl, that kind of stuff. There was a lot of movement on that project running right up to December 15th. And then we hit a bit of a snag. But there is some movement that's happened there, which I will be able to share hopefully in the next short period of time. So Ed, thank you again. And we are doing our best to find ways to change public perception of vaping, which is going to mean taking things larger, of course, than just RegWatch. We're talking about national advertising and not the stuff Joel was talking about. Let me just see here. We've got greetings from Switzerland, and thank you for your efforts for vaping and generally creating awesome content. Well, thank you very much. That comes in from Vape Cod Play. And then one more here from Wrench Reviews. Wrench, I need to know your real name, but because I'm always like, Wrench, great comment. Just keep doing what you're doing, sir. It is always needed and always greatly appreciated. Thank you very much, Wrench. And you know what? Maybe I should take a look here. For those of you that can and didn't see, get an original kind of note for me, what we're talking about here today is a thanks to FlavourArt North America and Sean Casey, its president, for their diehard support for Regulator Watch and its vaping content. If anybody would like to send an email of thanks to our main supporter, and we're going to be looking for some new ones. Some have dropped off just because of the varieties and vagaries of the industry. But the email address is support@FlavourArt. That's FLAVOURAT.IT. So that's the common British spelling of flavor. So that's support@FlavourArt.IT. And that's Sean Casey. If you do get a chat, send him a note. All right. So there's a couple of more here. I wanted to make sure that I called out. And one more. And from Iggy Mitchell. And I want to thank Iggy for sending a note into FlavourArt as well. It's dropped. I mean, man, I could thank you guys enough for the things that you say. But here's what Iggy wrote. And he says, I know you're a supporter, a sponsor supporter of RegWatch. Let me just take a moment there. It's interesting that Iggy catches that because we never use the term supporter. Sponsor. And the reason why is because the connotations of that is one where the sponsor does have input into the content. In a lot of sponsorship relationships, that is de facto implied that in somehow, there's an editorial relationship. RegWatch has 100% editorial control over content. Of course, we are aligned with our supporters. We know issues that are important to them. But we find supporters that are interested in our covering stuff that meets our point of view. So it's not really hard to mesh. Sometimes, there's the odd time I'm doing a story that our supporters just don't like, but so be it. If you've seen some of our non-vaping stuff, like salmon farming, stuff on oil pipelines and so forth, our relationships there can be upfront and you could see them, or you might not, because quite frankly, we're industry supported across whatever content we do. We have 100% editorial control, and sometimes we show who our supporters are, and sometimes we don't. But everybody knows that we're fact-based with opinion. So there you go. So back to what Iggy wrote. Just a few words to say what a great job RegWatch does. They are saving lives, and without your help, and that is FlavourArt, this may not be possible. The content that's put up on YouTube, along with comments from faithful followers, in which you are, Iggy, thank you, and truly believe can help the Canadian issue. RegWatch has helped the Canadian public health professionals and politicians get to where they're at. And we do really feel that we had an impact on the regulatory process in Canada. And I think that's an important thing to talk about just in what RegWatch's raison d'etre is. It's not a bad thing for media to be specifically wanting to have an impact on the stories they cover. You know, I think everyone knows kind of politically where I sit. You know, I'm definitely more on the conservative side of things. And you know, it's not a hypocrisy, say, for me to go after CNN and their coverage, say, of President Trump to be like just way out of whack in just terms of the things they say. And then it's not a hypocrisy to then turn around and our coverage is just like, you know, defiantly pro-vaping. We tell everybody from the moment that RegWatch started is that we have a point of view. And if you go to our About section on regulatorwatch.com, you'll see our news values. I swear to you, we're the only news organization I know of in North America that publishes its news values. So if you want to know why we do pro-resource stories, pro-energy stories, it says in our About page that we believe in pro-resources. So it's not like I've got to go get the other balanced part on the resource issue. That's, you know, you can find that everywhere. So it's the same thing with vaping. When we first started with our vaping coverage, the very first story that I wrote, and I got to the point where I was writing, vaping is not smoking. It was simple as that, right? Vaping is not smoking, and not a vaping saves lives, because that's a bit, would have been a bit too much of a statement. And I don't know if I ever even actually, I use that terminology in some things, but I never declare that. So I think it was a simple thing that said vaping is not smoking. It was something simple like that in the very first piece that I wrote, and I hit it, and my journalism instincts first kick in and go, can I write that? I'm making an emphatic, you know, an emphatic statement. And then when everybody else says that it's smoking, you know, this is back in late 2015. And I thought to myself, I went, well, wait a minute. If I'm writing a story on climate change for mainstream media, am I going to be unequivocal about it, or am I going to equivocate? Well, I'm going to be unequivocal. I'm going to be climate change is real. I mean, in fact, I'm not even going to be saying that. I'm just going to be writing everything in this piece based on the scientific fact that climate change is real. That's the consensus. So just going to do it. Now, I don't believe climate change is real. I'm not going to get into that. But the fact of the matter is that if I was writing mainstream news media pieces, I would have to write that. That's the de facto thing. So I thought that through, and I went, well, yeah, vaping is not smoking. And it's as simple as that. And it's funny because climate change, the approach and the way in which the news media covers climate change is the framework in which that I use to cover vaping, if that makes any sense. Let's see here. What do we got? I'm going to need the glasses. Wrench says, it's Greg. Wrench Reviews. It's Greg Pashik. Wrench, Greg, thank you so much for all of your great comments. Remind me about that again, because I'm going to lose that in this comment thread. But I'll end up calling you. Yeah, Greg, thank you so much. And it's great to see you live, Brent. You can so do live streams. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, I don't do it often. I may do it more. And Winnipeg. Wrench is in Winnipeg. And some Portugal. All right. That is awesome. So, okay, guys, I promised this was just going to be short and sweet. I wanted to do a thank you to our viewers that have reached out to our supporters. Again, FlavourArt North America and Sean Casey, if anybody gets a chance, support at FlavourArt.it. And flavor, that's with the British spelling. I have to get back to work here. We got some really good coverage coming up, but like I said, we've been working on this national mainstream advertising program. Actually, I'll tell you what it's called. It's called the Whole Truth Campaign. We got really close to having this on national cable television. We hit a snag on December 15th. I've had to lick my wounds for about 3 weeks, and then now I have to gin up the next step to push it through. But no promises. No promises. But if you're wondering where RegWatch is with coverage right now, part of my time is spent working with ad agencies to try to make this possible. So thank you very much, and have yourself a good one. Cheers.